With Promethea Procurement, developing a business-wide induction was really, really important to us. It's always something that gets lost in the interpretation, and it doesn't need to be complicated, but it does need to flow through from the procedures and the policies, and that has to have exactly what you want them to understand as far as the rest of the organisation. The messaging needs to be simple, right? You don't need to include all the procedures and process, because if they have any questions, all they have to do is come and ask someone. So we go into the document. Again, this PowerPoint presentation has instructions for use. Really important. The role of C&P, contracts and procurement, the team, how you've structured the team, this 3 sourcing process, C&P procedural guiding principles, which is really around contracts and procurement essentials, and overview of the C&P document library. So C&P, I think this is a really important point for a business-wide, that the procurement function owns the procedure. They own the governance around the procedure. They're the experts in understanding what you can and can't do. And that's always a challenge for the business, because you'll find that there's a lot of maverick spend, people going off and doing what they want to do, not really understanding. So I think it's like anything. If you front end load the understanding of what the function's role is really, really important. So two great points on that slide: risk managing, the fundamental purpose of a contract, and maximising value from supply chain. You know, just simple messaging. I think it's good to insert your C&P team in the next slide. Well, who do I contact? If you've got a central, a call, a place, a person that they centrally call, or if your procurement function is one person, or if your procurement function is split between different categories, if you're a larger organisation. It's really, really important, because I think one of those messages that always used to come back to me is, who do I call? And it's interesting, because some of my feedback to suppliers when I've worked for operators is, well, you never called me, and I don't know who they're calling. So I think it's really good to put your organisation up there and maybe an extension number or an email. So all of our documents at Promethea Procurement focus on 3 levels: low value, operational, and high value. And what those actual values are is determined by the client, not by Promethea Procurement. So if your high value is 500,000 or 200,000 or 50,000, you determine that by the value and by the level of risk. If you've got low value sourcing that's typically taking a lot of time, you might limit it to $1,000 or $20,000 and basically have 3 quotes. But all of that sourcing process gets determined by the client. We're just providing you the generic document. So when I refer to these as guiding principles or the C&P essentials, so these are key messages that your organisation should really, really focus on. So, and it's just really simple things. So do not instruct contracts to commence until an approved contract or purchase order is in place. As an example, I would classify that as maverick spend. So contractors are working, they haven't assessed the terms and conditions for which they're working, you don't know what the director's liabilities are. All of those factors are enough to make me feel very nervous. So these are some of the key messages that you want the business to understand, that they really, really need to focus on prior to engaging a contractor or buying any goods, anything external to the business that falls within that procurement procedure. Really important. So with the C&P procedure and the procurement function, whether they're Prometheus documents or not. There's a whole range of templates that support your procurement function. And this gives you a demonstration of the library that you would have. You would customize this slide to what you have, could all be Prometheus procurement. So I think that's really important that they know that there is a local content policy and procedure, that we do look at social procurement, we are focused on anti-corruption, things like that. Some people would never have come across these types of items, but they are really, really important that when you're actually managing your spend, all of these things are taken into consideration by the procurement function in a very professional way. And the last slide, as simple as that, is to ask any questions that you have around the business-wide contracts and procurement induction. Thank you for your time today.